You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And the perfect preseason is over, Boyd.
Damn it. I didn't plan on a perfect preseason, but when we got to 5-0, it did cross my mind. But the goal is still attainable that I said after week 1 was to have enough money in the account so that we didn't have to top it up all year. So now we have to go 1 of 2 this week for that to be a reality to start the season. So I'm hoping we can do that, but it wasn't a bad week last week. We picked the wrong game out of the ones we talked about. Gave Arizona too much credit.
Well,
and Cincinnati not enough.
Well, that's true. And I was going to say, for a brief time, I wanted to be a total pussy and just bet 1 this week. Because let's face it, week 4 of the preseason is impossible.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You know what? If we do 1, we're still out.
No, and I would think that we were cheating. So
I was thinking,
screw that. I refuse to even put that in my head after a while.
No, well, I thought of something too. We don't bet any games, and we're set for week 1.
Yeah, and you know what?
No, I can't do it. That's not our podcast.
Yeah. You know, we'll always stand up and actually make some picks, but that was terrible because, as you said, every game we talked about, except for the game we settled on, was a winner.
Did
Dallas,
Baltimore
Miami.
won? Would Baltimore play?
I can't even remember. Well, it's preseason. Like we're supposed to remember. Yeah, it's preseason football. It's the wins and losses. But like the men we are, we're going to stand up, make a couple of picks at the end of this podcast. I did watch, by the way, the game we won where we took the Saints, and we got pretty bullshit lucky in that one. There was a goal line stand by the Saints defense, and then there were 2 subsequent turnovers and a muffed punt. All in our favor. So, you know, I'm not going to get too cocky about that pick. Really.
No.
But,
the Ravens beat the Redskins. That's who they played.
Okay.
But that was by no means a great win. But
no,
so we got lucky in the Saints.
Yeah, we got really lucky. I mean, it was fun in the way I like gambling, in that it was an emotional roller coaster. Because when once again the Saints third stringers failed to convert 3rd and 1, and they had to punt it, I thought we were just screwed because the Saints third string defense is terrible.
Well, they're not going to see the field.
No.
Half of them probably got cut after that game anyway.
Yeah, look, you know, I didn't read that too much, but I thought just a first down, and then we can eat another minute and a half, 2 minutes of clock, and we look all right. And then a muffed punt from someone who I'm certain is subsequently cut. Muffing a punt in preseason third string doesn't get you a lot of jobs. Yeah. A late field goal to take the Saints up 6 points when we had them at plus 2.5. After that, I relaxed. But, yeah, we got bullshit lucky on that.
Yeah.
I won't lie.
Well, you have to. In the preseason, there's no way you can predict. You don't know who's playing half the time. Anyway, some teams, like the Titans, played their starters into the third quarter. Some sat them at the half. You had no idea what was going to happen. So I don't mind it that we got lucky. Well, that's 2. Well, I guess we didn't get lucky on the Raiders one. The Lions over the Raiders, they covered. And we took him for that 2.5 points. That's 2 games. See, I was telling my nephew, who was over 2 weekends ago when we went 4-0, and I was explaining the gambling thing to him and everything because he's not much into sports gambling. He likes gambling, just not sports gambling. But I was explaining to him how the lines worked and how they set them and why they set them how they do. And I said we got sucked into what most of the public bets as favorites in our first year or two when we were making picks, and how we've recognized it and adjusted and just quit being like Joe Public going, oh, favorite. And we've done that in the preseason. So I think that shows some growth on our part. I was actually patting ourselves on the back.
All right.
Explaining all this to him. But now I do it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that said, we're still 5-1 in the preseason. We've had some luck, but 5-1 is something to hang your hat on.
Well, especially when the best we'd done in a preseason was 1-7. So, yeah, I'll take this. It's a good way to start. Let's put it that way. It gives us some momentum going into the regular season. But I do want to... Here's something we forgot to talk about pre-show. Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah.
We had other topics we wanted to talk about, but we have to talk about Hard Knocks. So I think we could put the Josh Gordon thing we were going to talk about on hold. Everybody will have covered that anyway. So
and I think our positions are pretty established on that.
Yeah. Let me just say that the league suspending Ray Rice for 2 games for knocking his fiance out in an elevator, and suspending Josh Gordon for a drug test that one sample was negative and one sample was within the margin of error positive.
Both
Fucking
of which
ludicrous.
well under Olympic standards. And Matthew Berry said something on the BS report today, too, that he had successfully passed 70 straight drug tests previous to this one marginal failure, which even the Olympics say is the secondhand smoke. This goes back to Canadian snowboarder
Ross Rebliati.
Okay, I was going to say, I can't remember his name. Nice pull.
You don't need to. Yeah, so that's all saying that. Everybody else will cover it. It's been covered to death. So we can cut that out. We'll talk Hard Knocks now. And then we'll get in. We got one other topic we want to talk about before we get to, we'll talk Hard Knocks now. Then our surprise topic after. It's kind of a humorous one, semi-humorous anyway. So what did you think of the episode last night?
It was my favorite of the season so far.
Well, I love
the special teams meetings where special teams coach, and his name escapes me, Keith Armstrong, absolutely puts a flamethrower to a room for laziness, lack of attention, everything, and then immediately follows up by making everyone involved run shunt drills. It was awesome. Just the opening, and it's probably 5 minutes. I mean, it seemed like at least 15 to me. If I'd been sitting in the room, that would have been the longest hour of my life. I mean, my face would have been beet red, and I would have been sweating from shame if anyone had lit into me like that. And they deserved it for a horrific performance. It was fantastic. That was old school, in-your-face coaching, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, my favorite part of the whole thing was he told them, I'm telling the coaches what I'm telling you now. I'm telling you face to face. I'm being a man. I'm not talking about you behind your back. I'm telling you exactly the same thing I say to other coaches. So that you're not getting a mixed message here. This is what it is. This is how I see it, and this is what I'm telling other people. And I'm telling it to you as well. So you don't have to worry that you're not getting the message straight. This is what it is. Now, I will say this, that Pro Football Talk today, and usually I respect what they write. Just a bullshit piece today on Armstrong berating the players, and they brought up the Miami problem with Incognito and all that shit. Yeah,
I skipped that piece. I saw it on PFT.
Harshness in the workplace, fuck, come on.
This
and
is
they were brought up.
coaching.
It's not. I know the NFL is not your normal workplace environment like most people in an office, but you should have more respect. And I'm like, okay. They're not listening. If whoever wrote that article turned in shit columns week after week, do you think he wouldn't get berated or called on the carpet? It may not be like that, but you're trying to motivate millionaires and guys that are lazy, and you've got a week, and if they don't perform, you don't have a job. So what's your solution? Oh, that's okay. Oh, maybe you need a timeout. Go sit in the corner. Fuck off. It reminds me of how parenting is nowadays.
Yeah.
And I have no kids, but the parenting I see, okay, Johnny, don't touch that. Mommy said that's not good. Daddy says, don't touch. They're fucking destroying my store. Don't touch. Oh, no. And then they turn their head and don't even pay attention to the little fuckers. And I love kids, but the parenting this is what we're turning into.
Well, I'm going to have to read that article. I purposely skipped it when I was going through sites today because I hadn't watched the episode yet, and I didn't want spoilers, I guess, for lack of a better term. But that, to me, I thought that was good coaching. It was telling you the importance of what you're doing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being shamed for doing a terrible job. I've done a terrible job in the past, and I've had people who've told me, you fucked that up. And they've ridden me hard. That's not a bad thing, you know?
Well, see, and to me, the Miami problem stems more from Joe Philbin being a milquetoast and not standing up to the players that were running the fucking locker room than it does to a coach berating a player. I think if the coach isn't in your face and they have to respect you, the players aren't. If the players respect the coach, they're not going to act like they did in Miami. That, to me, is more to coaching than Armstrong fucking berating these guys. Mike Smith's the soft hand in that team. He doesn't yell and scream and swear and curse. It's like good cop, bad cop there. Smith's
he delegates sergeants. It's a military concept there.
No, but most coaches aren't as
colonel
calm
or
as
your
him.
major is fine, but your sergeants will ride your ass and destroy you. And good sergeants will make you better. Bad sergeants will turn into Miami.
Well, and even the receivers coach, Trubisky, said receivers were shit in that last game. They're going to work today. They haven't been working. Roddy hasn't been working. Julio, these guys are not working. They're going to be working today. And they ran them. What are you going to do when guys are fucking lollygagging? What do you have at your arsenal and training camp that's going to motivate someone? Especially guys that think they have a roster spot already.
Yeah. And this was the immediate aftermath of an absolutely humiliating, as far as a preseason defeat can be humiliating, loss at Houston.
Well, they got destroyed.
Yeah. I watched that, and, I watched it with Shelley, and at no point did we think he was taking it too far. Because here's another thing. You're dealing with 23-year-old people, many of whom make millions of dollars a year.
And we're stars. They have the attitude of a star. It doesn't matter where they were drafted, because to get to that level, you have to think you're going to be a star. Whether you are or not.
23-year-old men are idiots. There are very few motivational techniques. I mean, you can go to whatever college you want and talk about managerial philosophy, and it doesn't work because they're 23-year-old men with way too much money.
Well, and here's the thing to me with what they said on Pro Football Talk that I don't understand. He never got personal with it. He never called anybody a name. He never said, "Oh, you're a pussy." He just said, "You're not going to have a job if you keep playing like this. You're not doing what I teach you. You're lazy. You're not prepared. So if you don't want a job, keep playing like this." Because the other coaches know it too.
Yeah, in the coaches' meeting, he did describe them as soft, but he did not describe any of the players as soft in that meeting, unless I'm mistaken.
No, and
that could
he
be
just meant they played
as
soft.
an insult. He said stupid a lot, which, based on their assignment, they were stupid. They didn't recognize it. It was a stupid decision to not, like, the scene was cut brilliantly with film of the actual game. And there was one player, and he's going, "Who are you going to block? There's two guys coming on the end." So there's basically three guys and the one guy, which is a horrible situation. He blocked none of them. Now, in that situation, that's the one really bad decision you can make, is to not block
he was indecisive.
anybody.
That was the bad decision. He went halfway one way, halfway the other way, and both guys went by him.
Yeah.
When you always
and
take
one
the
on the
inside,
outside, too.
You take the inside guy, though, because the outside guy has the furthest route to the ball.
But in any case.
It was the inside guy that blocked it. It blocked the inside guy. The outside guy's got to turn the corner and try and get to the kick. But,
like, there was a later scene, and this kind of pissed me off. And was it Armstrong again? Oh, no. This was, it was Cox, wasn't it? Yelling at the one guy who just kept playing with his shirt?
Oh, Hageman.
Yeah.
It's out of shape. Run. You're going to keep running. So they were side to side on the sidelines.
Yeah.
From one sideline to the other.
Yeah.
He takes his pads off and he's yelling, "Run!" And he just stands there. And I'm like, well, I thought he was going to start crying or something.
I thought he was going to take a swing at Cox.
Well, second round picks don't have that much power.
No,
Like,
they have the assumption in their head that they've made it already.
Well, he knows he's not going to they're not going to cut a second round pick unless he fucking does something horrible and is in jail. Just for the simple fact that they don't cut second round picks.
Well, he can do something horrible.
Like
he just can't be caught doing something horrible. This is the NFL, after all.
Well, he could be caught doing something horrible and only get 2 games.
Yeah, but no, I loved that, and I've really got to go back because I intentionally skipped the article on PFT.
And it's not that long, but it's just the tone of it.
Because they just said this guy goes crazy on whatever, and I just skimmed down because I hadn't watched the episode yet. I didn't watch till I came home from work, and
yeah, okay, Marlon. If I was making $30,000 a year,
you would say that that's negative. Because do you know what? I know very successful people in many fields, and they end up in meetings where they are berated like this.
Okay, but if you're making $30,000 a year, you're not going to put up with that shit. If I'm making $3 million a year, that's going to come with the territory, because the more money you make, the more pressure there is. The more pressure there is, the more somebody's going to shit on you when something goes wrong. That's a fact of life, and we don't want that anymore. Everybody's just supposed to pat each other on the back and say, "Good job," even though when you fuck up, you're not playing pee-wee football here and go for fucking pizza after the game. This is guys' livelihoods at stake, coaches too. And you don't win. Like, if Atlanta doesn't win this year, all those guys are fucking gone. Gone. That's it. Doesn't matter. Gone. The only one that'll be safe is Dimitrov. Coaches will be gone. So, yeah. Because
I
said you're going to cost
didn't
me my
even
job.
enter into me. This was what I thought a coach should do to a unit that performed abysmally.
Yeah.
It never even entered into my mind that this was beyond the pale.
No, but Marlon, we're in
I find that's just fucking crazy.
We're in the politically correct society where, what did I can't even remember how they worded, but the unsafe work environment, or not unsafe, but...
No, and what happened to the Dolphins last year was a shit show fiasco because no one was willing to...
No
one was standing up like Brian Cox or Armstrong or any of these people, keeping control of their unit, showing them who's the boss, because let's face it, there is still a fucking boss. Not everyone's a goddamn boss.
But if you let a guy like Incognito control the locker room, that's on the coaches.
Well, that's on the bosses. Else. That means the boss has lost control.
Yeah, but Philbin's is still there. Everybody else around him got fired, and he kept his job. The only reason I can think of is that they're too cheap to fire him.
I don't even think. I think they're that clueless. But, I mean, let's not forget, Incognito was on... Philbin brought, Harvard Business School management things, so they had a leadership council. Incognito was on that council. The council that was
that's how they could control the team, but that's what I mean.
It's supposed to air the grievances, and let's face it, there are going to be situations where people are mistreated by both their teammates and the coaches. Chris Cluey, this can go both ways, but I saw nothing wrong in that Hard Knocks.
No, nor did I.
I saw a man demanding that the people he was in charge of do their jobs correctly, or they would not have jobs. And they all... And it wasn't like he was asking them to do anything. He wasn't demanding, put your helmet on the knee. Or anything ridiculous. He was just saying, learn what you have to do and do it. And play like you want this job. Wow, I'm really shocked that there was any controversy. Never even entered my head.
Oh, well, and comparing it to Incognito, I just was like, can't you be better than that? Not everything is a workplace environment issue. Like, fuck off. Like, we've already...
I know people who...
Marlon, they've
make
changed
similar
the rules.
Figures to these people, and they end up in a boardroom taking that kind of shit. And it's part of what happens.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, this shit happens. Like, wow. All right. What else did I like?
Well, that was
Brian
about the
Cox's taste in movies.
He follows my movie tastes.
Yeah, well, you're a little bit stupid.
Thanks. What, comedies? I agree with him. I got enough shit going on in my life. I don't need to be scared, fucking worried. When I watch a movie, I want to be distracted for 2 hours. Documentaries, comedies.
Yeah, because documentaries are known for their soothing.
Well, no, but I don't watch fucking, let's see what's happening in Syria for an hour and a half. I watch like sports I watch like 30 for 30. Not...
So documentaries about entertainment.
Sports. Not entertainment so much. And
well, sports is entertainment.
Stand-up comedy and comedies.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I enjoyed that piece, though, where... Whatever, Brian Cox continued to be the star out here.
Yeah, they need to have him around the pool again, or smoking the cigars and talking with the coaches.
Him just talking is fine with me. Smith, like you said, he's no more involved than Philbin is. But it's a whole different feel from Smith, isn't it?
Well, I think the reason too is Matt Ryan runs that team pretty good too.
Yeah.
Where I don't think Tannehill had that.
Well,
the offensive line might have ran Tannehill a little bit.
Smith misses Gonzalez a lot, and I thought his speech about it was, and let's face it, do you think there's ever been a better tight end than Gonzalez?
Yeah, Shannon Sharp was just as, I don't know if he was better, he was just as good.
Okay, just as good, without the longevity. And he just said he would come in and tell the kids, this is what you have to do to prepare. And I think that is missing from this team. Gonzalez's absence is bigger than we think. And it may have affected even KC when he left there.
Yeah, but the one guy that could do it, like at receiver position, I know there's a few guys, but most of their rookies are skill position guys. The one linebacker that's hurt's been helping Shembo, study tape and that. But these guys, it's different. You're gonna. I would have problem telling a guy how to take my job. Like, how much do you think Roddy White's going to take a rookie wide receiver under his wing when he's in year 10?
Oh, and why should he?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's asking a lot. Okay, you older guys, help these young guys.
Well, and Gonzalez had no competition.
Well, no.
Because he was Gonzalez.
Well, he was a Hall of Famer. How many guys are in that position on a football team? Really, or in any sports team that are untouchable?
You've been for 5 years knowing you're a Hall of Famer. And by the way, his last year was still brilliant.
Yeah, he'd still be starting on every team outside of like 3 if you could get him out of retirement.
Yeah. So I actually enjoyed that speech from Smith where he just said, we used to have him in here and he would tell the kids, this is what you've got to do. The routine. Yeah. And what you're saying about Ryan being the leader on the team, I think you're right. And a team needs that. You need that sort of unassailable dick who no one's going to say they're wrong. And they performed. Incognito wanted to be that guy who I can do whatever I want, but A, he wasn't ever any good. And B, took his power to a ridiculous level, just to torment.
You have to have other people willing to follow along to that too, to get that to work. Because if he's a lone wolf doing that, it doesn't work. True. So I put it on him for starting it, but it takes like personalities to have that run amok.
Yeah.
Because if it's just one guy being a loudmouth, the rest of the team would have just shut him out. But he controlled, there was a whole group of guys following him around. So, but that's enough about.
Okay, last of Hard Knocks was Atlanta hasn't looked very good.
Well, their first team has offense. I know Matt Ryan was saying, you shit, if you're satisfied with 2 touchdowns in the first half, well, it's pretty good for a half, 17 points. For a half isn't bad.
Yeah, they're thin. I don't think they have a defense. But I kind of respect the organization after this Hard Knocks. Probably more so than I have from any other Hard Knocks season.
The other thing I wanted to say about Matt Ryan, and I hope he's this nice a guy and it's not just for TV or show, but when he went and signed autographs and took pictures with those 3 kids standing at the railing after the game,
that was PR bullshit, man.
But okay.
How did those 3 kids get through?
No, but even if it was
3,
they do. Well, it could have been a friend or something.
Yeah, they were friends. Those guys were VIP access.
Yeah, but I'd
be more curious to see how he deals with 200 of them.
That wasn't going to be my point. My point being that would have been me at 10, 11 years old. That excited as those kids are. That's why I hope he's that nice a guy. Outside of being on Hard Knocks.
Love the kids, but that was a setup, man.
Well, yeah, they do it every year.
A total PR setup.
But my point was of the kids. That just reminded me of what I would have been like or what I was like when I met Clark Gillies when I was 10.
Oh, absolutely, and I love that scene too. I mean, that one kid hit a note that only dogs can hear, but
when he signed his jersey, he could hardly get his jersey off for him to sign. He was so flustered.
Yeah, no,
and excited like that.
Like, I love that, but the fact that there were 3, that's an op. You know what I mean? Well, that's an opportunity that was set up with 3 kids. You're not being swarmed by kids and
but every Marlon, every
autograph hounds who
no, Marlon, just listen. I get your point, but in pro sports, the players have the ability to have people allowed access to the locker room or to that area every game. Because we got a friend that plays in the NHL. We can go down, if he's in Calgary, we can get access down to the locker room. So it's not necessarily a setup. Everybody has that right to get family, friends down. That could have been somebody else's pass from the team that got down. Friends from out of town, whatever, nieces, nephews, who the hell knows? Not saying that it's not a setup, that the cameras were sitting right there. But it could have been not just some privileged kid as a setup. It could have been actual fans, friends, whatever, that had access down.
Whereas I thought that was the only false note of the show. Because when you're in an autograph situation, for him to charmingly sign autographs for those kids, and those kids were fucking adorable. Don't get me wrong.
But you're never going to get the autograph hounds down there.
Real. But the fact that there were exactly 3 people who had to sign, that was something set up by Ryan's PR agent. Oh, look, he's signing for these children. It was constructed and it was artificial.
I don't know if I'd go that far. They may have had him told him to go out there. I don't think
about it, boy, a little bit. Like Marlon, that was an off.
The kids, so the kids were actors too?
No, the kids were the right people who said, "Okay, we need 3 people who want Matt Ryan's." Their enthusiasm was utterly genuine, but the very fact that exactly 3 children as a group came down to the autograph was utterly constructed. It really was.
Yeah, I don't know. See, there's so many variables there. We don't know time in between.
Yeah,
you're not.
I'm pretty certain on
Joe
this
Autograph
one,
Hound isn't getting down there. Joe Autograph Hound with the
and that's where we roast the athletes, is when they get into these scrums with Joe Autograph Hound, which I think the athletes should treat with contempt. The guys who are paying kids to get the calendars. Let's see him in a scrum. That wasn't a scrum. That was an op. That was a very tightly controlled Matt Ryan autographs.
But that's how it is.
Yeah, but when is that ever 3 kids? It wouldn't. It would have been a lot more than 3 kids, and I suspect Matt Ryan would have done it for 50. I think the whole 3-kid thing was artificial. It was constructed. It was set up by Matt's PR people.
Well, even if it was great.
It was great. The children's enthusiasm was absolutely not constructed or artificial. No kids are good enough actors to make that enthusiasm. It was awesome. It was a great scene, but it was artificial. It was something that really struck me as bogus and manipulative.
Well, on that note, let's transfer into the other topic we wanted to get to before, because it's kind of related to what we were just talking about with Matt Ryan. The NFL sat down with the Wall Street Journal, and if you can believe it, discussed their marketing plan to children. Children. I was fucking blown away that
the future
that are sitting in offices making millions of dollars discussing how to get kids to watch football. When if I remember correctly from when I was a child, I basically followed what my dad watched or my brothers were watching. That's basically how I became a sports fan. I inherited that love of sports from them. Because when you're young, what do you want to do? You want to emulate your father or your big brothers or brother. That's what you do, or or that role model in your life that you look up to. That's who you emulate. So that's why you have father and sons cheer for the same fucking teams. Is it not? So now now they're marketing to kids. And the bullshit part of it, to me, in the whole article was, how do you use fantasy football to get kids interested in it, in watching the NFL? Oh, well, you could use math because you could figure out, well, how many points do I need and how many points does this guy have to get for me to win my week? Are you kidding me? Look at the back of the fuck. You're better off fucking giving them free football cards if you want to teach them. It's bullshit.
You see, I have a different take on this. Entirely.
It's indoctrination from fucking the womb.
What this reminds me of is The Wire. Preseason treating math to the kids in the schools by showing them the actual odds of a street craps game. This is whatever gets them to start to understand the numbers.
Yeah, but they're not teaching them. They're not doing it to teach them math.
Dude, let me finish. Yes, they are. Because if you really look at fantasy or any type of gambling, like, how did I learn probability? My uncle taught me craps when I was about 10 years old. And then at about the age of 12, I started to figure the numbers. And whatever it is that catches the interest. And you don't think there's math involved in fantasy football?
Dude.
Projected numbers, over 8, over this. I'm not entirely against this notion.
Now you're trying to now you believe the NFL is altruistic in this endeavor.
I don't think that's that's their goal. I'm just saying that's their accidental result.
That is
very different than saying that's their goal.
No.
Yes, it is indoctrination, but do you know what? You need serious math skills to gamble.
Yeah, but they're not. Fantasy football isn't gambling.
Yes, it fucking is, and I've been saying this for fucking
Marlon. It's not gambling like we gamble. It is. I know what you. It's gambling because there's money on the line, but it's not.
No, it's not gambling because there's money on the line.
Yes,
it's gambling because you are trying to predict a future outcome.
Yeah, but you're not playing odds. All you're doing is going, I have no. Well,
what are the odds
I got an odds that this running back's going to get more points in this game. That's not fucking math. That's like I have 3 running backs. Which one should I start that I think is going to get more points? Oh, let's see. 3 subtract 1. That means I have 2 running backs left on my bench. Like, come on.
Okay, it is math in the sense that you can take, this running back averages this against these teams that generally give up, let's call it, a 1. And this running back, who generally is getting a 1.2 against these defenses, is now facing a defense that gives up 1.8. That is math.
Come on.
No, I'm not kidding.
You're going really
No, it's the same
thin.
thing. It's the same thing as dice, dude. You are so wrong on this. No. And the NFL's motives are, of course, utterly evil. Because the NFL is... I can't remember the last time they weren't evil. But, seriously?
There's not one fucking
math
kid.
Will teach you how to do division, multiplication, addition, subtraction.
What are you multiplying and dividing in fantasy football?
Well, 1.2 times 0.98. Right there. Okay, say you've got a running back who has 98 yards against a 1 value defense. you're playing against a defense that gives up 1.2. So 1.2 times 98. There's multiplication.
And that's what everybody does in fantasy football.
Yeah, once you get good at it.
No, come on, dude. You're sitting with your calculator doing math?
No, I do it in my head because I learned how to scale sliding odds from my uncle when I was 7. And he taught it to me through poker and craps. Because that's what interested me. Like, here's the thing. I mean, you tell a student to multiply 7 by 9. 63. If you say, if this running back averages 7 carries, or 7 yards per carry, and he gets 9 carries a game, what's he going to get in fantasy? That is fucking math.
No. You're not going to equate it to fantasy. How many yards would a running back have if he averaged 9 carries a game and gets 7 yards a carry?
They don't equate it to anything, Boyd, is the problem right now.
Math
is abstract to... Yes. Math is abstract to children. They don't even understand how it works because it's numbers. What'll that ever mean to me? But if you give them a reason to apply those numbers, and this is my personal experience, if you give people a reason to understand numbers, they will understand numbers better. I didn't have to learn trig until I was doing digital mapping one time, where I had to actually figure out an intersection point. So in one day, because I had to do it, I learned trigonometry that they failed to teach me in high school. Because what they did was they gave me a bunch of circles and triangles on a board, which I found utterly irrelevant. Any way you can find something that captures the imagination of the child and shows them how they can apply it is a better system than teaching it in an abstract sense.
But it's not... Okay, I'll agree with you on one point. If you equate it to football, to say, what does this guy get per yards? If he gets 5.8 yards a carry, he gets 20 carries a game, how many yards is he going to end up with? Fine. That'll get the interest of somebody. But that's on the back of a football card. Not in fantasy. To use math at a different level, so you're going to show them, okay, he gets 0.6 points per every yard rushed, and if he had 20 carries at 3 yards per rush, how many points is he going to end up with?
But this defense, only gives up...
But they're not going to do that in school, dude. They're not going to teach them that in school.
But
you're better off...
But they could, and that will attract the fucking kids who are going to take that tiny step forward.
No, they're not going to go that in-depth, dude, with football numbers.
Okay.
Sorry, you got half the class are
break
female.
My Preslewski comparison.
Half the kids are female.
When you were watching Prez on the wire... have a completely dead room, doing nothing, and then you said, okay, what do you guys play in the streets? And they said, dice.
You got a grade 3
and
female.
Then he hauled out all the dice and said, all right, we've got 1 dice with 1 to 6 numbers and 1 dice with 1 to 6 numbers. And he was teaching them, and I learned this too. Like this totally hit home. It's like we've got one result of a possibility of 6 and another result of a possibility of 6. How do we figure out what is most likely to happen?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that's going on in classrooms about as much as me shitting on fucking McLeod Trail with my pants around my ankles at noon on a Tuesday.
Maybe because they're not using fantasy football.
Brutal. Fucking brutal argument, dude. Brutal.
No, you're
brutal.
No,
dude,
Marlon, you're retarded.
The fantasy football thing, they're never going to use that in the classroom.
No, they won't, because they'll associate it with gambling and corporate whatever. But you know what? If you want to interest
the
a kid...
The effectiveness of teaching is just bringing it up in a sports venue, like in a sports fucking equation.
Okay, so there's 20% of people
in
a high school who are interested in sports. There are probably 40% who would be interested in a game of intellect where they could beat the jocks.
Get real. If you're only 20% are interested in sports, so you're not getting another 20% to fucking like sports because of fantasy football.
No, they're not going to like the sports anymore.
Half the guys playing fantasy football only play fantasy football to hang around with other guys. They know shit about football. Shit.
You don't have to know shit about football. This is about teaching math, dude.
No, fuck, come on. That's the stupidest thing. Like I said, you want to say running back A averages 7 carries a game, 9 yards or carry. How many does he get? Running back B has 8 carries a game for 9. What's the difference? Who has more yards per carry?
Okay, so
or more yards in a game. That makes sense to me.
Okay,
Going into a receiver getting 72 yards and he gets 0.8 points for those yards and and he scores 1 touchdown, he gets 6 points for. How many points does he end up with? Come on.
That's a complex math equation. Isn't that what we're trying to teach?
It is, but they're not going to use it. They're not going to equate it to fantasy football. I'm not saying it can't be
You're just saying
used.
They won't do. Okay, so you're just saying that they won't do it, so fuck it.
No, they won't do it. Marlon, I know.
This is the silliest thing you've ever said, boy.
No, it's not. Okay, find me a fucking classroom where they're teaching fantasy football for math.
Because they just brought it up.
So,
and you're saying this is corporate indoctrination. Who's the communist in this partnership?
It is a corporate indoctrination. It isn't?
It is, but it can still work.
This is some fucking
It's like saying gambling, you should never bring up...
Sitting in an office goes, how can we engage kids? Oh, what if we bring up using fantasy football as a math tool? Come on.
Oh, I could
really?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
because
you know
what
what?
else
They
are you
used
going
to
to
teach
apply
me
math to their
They
lives?
used to teach me math in school, giving me hockey statistics in Canada. That's how I learned math. My teacher said that Brian Trottier scored 9 goals in 10 games. What was his goal per game average?
Well, the world
that's how I learned
changed
math.
since the 50s there, Boyd.
No, it hasn't. That's the problem. So thinking that they're going to get kids...
They never taught you that, but do you think you might have been more engaged if a teacher had said, all right, we are 2 weeks into the season. These players have scored...
But you're not teaching to me.
No, but
you're teaching to the whole fucking class, and the half of them are females. So you're going to tune out the females.
You that may have once existed.
No, the females. A grade 3 honor student female is going to give a fuck about football.
You divide a class into 4 8-team leagues. Boom! It works. It's the same sort of house bullshit that the British use that actually works. So you set them up into leagues, and you do it. But, okay, how much more interested in math would you have been if they had said, all right, here's your word problem. If Brian Trottier had scored this many goals per game, he would score this. But if he missed this many games by injury, how many goals would he be projected to score? Would you have not found that a more interesting problem, teaching the same principles than train A is going at 60 miles an hour?
Yes, but the thing with teaching is you have to make it for the masses, to the masses.
And what is more popular in the world than the NFL?
No, masses.
Or in North America.
When you're in a classroom.
What is more popular than the NFL? So you're saying the masses. Okay, so how in the masses would you teach math then?
Like they do. It's gender neutral. It's not biased towards one entity or another. And it's not designed to hold 4 people's interest in the class.
But the problems are the same, problem. So it's utterly neutral.
But who are they doing
so why don't you present the fault for anyone who's interested?
Is it going to grab a female's interest more by telling a fucking fantasy football math
70% of engineering graduates are women now. Women don't have a problem. They're kicking up all the men's asses.
That's not the point. Would football hold their interest more? No.
So why should we cater to them?
To who? I'm not catering. My argument is you don't cater to anybody.
So you just put it down neutral and boring. You don't make it entertaining in any way or engaging.
How many of your friends would have enjoyed the same gambling math lesson you got?
Actually, almost all my friends. Because we got into gambling. Pardon?
Of course they would. Not half. 20 of them were into craps at 10.
Yeah, pretty much. I had a dice game set up in grade 6. We also played D&D, which is another math-influenced game, which taught us how to use sliding scales of probabilities and negative probabilities. Yeah, actually, the more you made it engaging, the better people learned.
Well, you had the 20 friends at grade 6, that were into gambling.
Well, we were the nerds who weren't into sports. But nevertheless, we learned them. And how do you engage the lunkhead who can only be a big brute defenseman? Show him his own stats. That's a good way. That engages more people.
Yeah, one-on-one you can do that. You can't do that to 30 kids in a classroom.
Why not? You make they create these word problems, Boyd, about the trains. The classic cliche about if you were traveling here, so you change the fucking metaphor, right? You change the metaphor from something no one gives a shit if Sam is traveling on a train at 60 miles an hour.
No, but to engage, how many more? How many more?
Shh.
How many more are you going to engage?
1 is an acceptable number.
Oh, fuck. Now you're sounding like the bleeding heart liberals. If I can stop one kid from picking up a cigarette, I'll have done my job. So we changed the whole thing for one kid.
No, you don't change the whole thing. You offer a change in metaphor. What you do is instead of making it abstract and boring, you try to find a way to engage them. An excellent way to engage people is gambling.
There's not one
fantasy football.
way, one specific way or one other way that's going to engage.
What, do you think it's going to get 100%?
Or less. Well, nothing is. That's my point.
No, but it's going to increase it in a certain subset of the population by 10 to 20%.
Never.
And you're just saying changing the metaphor of a math.
You're pulling numbers out of your ass.
Oh, absolutely. And how do you know how to engage those numbers?
10 to 20%. Well, I didn't learn it from a fucking hockey card or fantasy baseball or football.
Certainly didn't. Actually, you did, Boyd. Whether you fucking realize it or not, that analysis of stats has led to better math skills for you.
No, I learned math skills and then applied it to the other stuff.
Okay, hitting
That's
percentage.
What happened.
Hitting percentage?
Yeah,
so
I learned
you knew how to work perfect percentages before you knew what.
No.
What a hitting percentage was. No, I'm just asking.
I learned math.
So did you know what a hitting percentage meant?
You didn't even hear what I said.
Okay.
Turn your mouth off and your ears up.
Fuck
I
off.
said I learned math and then I applied that math to statistics.
Oh, but your baseball cards told you everything you needed to know. Because
It did.
all of those numbers there, you weren't curious about what 308 meant?
No, well, I knew how to do math, dude. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, really?
I could figure it out on my own. Well, I learned math in school. Where did you learn math?
When did you get your first baseball card?
grade 2 or 3.
So you knew how to do long division?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Freaking
well, if you were
prodigy.
setting up dice games at 10, I'm sure I could do long division at 8.
You must have been a prodigy.
I was.
To understand
to be
what
honest.
308 meant.
Well, I can't help it. I was moved up grades, so I guess I was, if you want to be totally honest.
Okay.
So to say that kids are going to be more engaged because you change it from a train to a fucking running back, well, I'd highly doubt it. It has more to do with the skill of the teacher to keep you engaged, not fucking anything to do with fucking football, fantasy football, indoctrination, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It has nothing to do with it. You're still going to have the same dropout rate. They've been trying to reinvent fucking teaching. Sit in a circle. You'll be more engaged. Fuck off. All that hokum pokum, just fucking teach. If you have a good teacher, your students will perform well. If you have shitty teachers, not so much. Bad parents, bad home life. Students don't give a fuck. Parents don't give a fuck. It's not, you listen to Adam Carolla. I'm not saying anything new here. It's the kids that come from decent homes generally are good students. Is it because they learned math from fucking fantasy football or
no, but I guess
math
we
from
shall
a
be
teacher?
prodigies like you. That's
Well, you
the
could be,
real
but-
answer. Learn long division before you get your first baseball card. In grade 2, when you can work three-figure
you understood
long
craps
division.
at 7, so
Yeah?
come on.
No,
If you-
I'm just saying, learn long
You want to
division.
get fucking pissy and be fucking facetious and sarcastic about it?
Yeah, I do.
Well, when a 7-year-old understands craps, that math's more advanced than fucking long division, so lick my sack.
I'm just saying, the metaphor makes it much more engaging.
Yeah. Well, let's pick some games here. I got to get to bed.
All right. So, this is the worst week to pick.
You're not kidding. I couldn't even find a game I really liked.
I got one I like and one I don't hate.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. I liked one game.
Okay.
And that's just because we've been betting. Well, we should have bet against them last week, but we didn't.
Does this involve Dallas?
Yes.
All right.
So we got
fun.
Denver in Dallas, -2.5.
Brock Osweiler? Is that his name?
The backup for Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked really good. The only half I saw him was against San Francisco's backups, which aren't the worst backups in the world.
But they're probably better than Dallas's starters.
Yeah, fair enough. This is not a terrible game.
Well, when it's only 2.5.
Yeah. Yeah, we're taking
most
a road
of the games
team.
are 3 or more.
I probably like this better than my second pick. And
Well,
we
that's
went
good, 'cause I
against
don't have a
Dallas last
second
week.
pick.
Pardon?
I don't have a second pick.
Well, I got 2 games I want to bring up, so let's throw the 3 games in there. But Dallas's defense really is that bad. There's no question. I mean, they looked solid against Miami for a half, but it was Miami after all, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I really like that game.
Me too. It was the only one I saw that made any gambling sense to me that we're not just throwing a dart.
Well, and
Dallas
we
is
kind of
gonna
are.
be
It's
bad.
week 4
Well,
preseason. We know we're
no, I know,
throwing
but-
darts here, Boyd.
Dallas is bad. Bad,
Yes.
bad. They don't have a lot of depth at skill positions, on defense. Who's their backup? Oh, they got, who's their backup quarterback now? They got, what's his
Gordon
name?
left
With Cleveland.
and-
Cleveland.
Yeah.
The 28-year-old rookie, whatever his name was.
Whedon.
Brandon Whedon is their backup. Can Denver's backup stop a scrub like that? Probably. I take my chances over that over the unknown. I don't know anybody on any. I don't know third stringers on fucking Cleveland.
I
And they're
can't even
minus
believe
5.
there'll be names on the jerseys this week. So
They're -5. Cleveland's -5 over the Bears. That's the biggest spread they'll have all year.
And John Fox is 27-24 preseason, 5-7 in week 4. But those numbers are frankly meaningless.
Yeah,
but
Jake started
he is a preseason guy. Okay, the 2 games that I was sort of intrigued by were the Niners +3 at Houston. 9-6 for that Harbaugh. 3-0 in week 4, shockingly, which again I think is meaningless. The Niners have not been impressive in the preseason this year.
At all.
But seriously, their backups are better than a lot of teams in this league. Houston's backups, I don't think are.
Who's their backup quarterback in San Francisco?
They got the other retread.
Gabbert.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, what other game you got? I'm not putting my gambling life in the hands of Blaine fucking Gabbert.
Fair enough.
I'm vetoing
I prefer him almost to Whedon, though.
No, we're betting against Whedon.
Oh, yeah, this is true. This is true. Okay,
I'm not a big...
My only other one that I do like is Seattle -5 at Oakland.
Yeah, I didn't mind that one either. Or I like that better than San Fran +3.
Okay.
That's huge.
I like taking the points. Houston looks brutal, man. They really do.
Yeah, but so did San Francisco.
No, they crushed the Chargers. They didn't
crush the Chargers. They hadn't scored a touchdown until the third quarter of that game all preseason. I don't call that crushing.
Well, I guess I'm a Chargers fan, so maybe I...
Well, it was against the backups. They didn't score a touchdown until the backups.
Worse than I thought.
They kept their offense on the field in the third quarter because it was so fucking bad all preseason. So how are I can't. No.
You can't take the Niners?
Seattle.
You'd rather you'd rather lay the points with the Seattle?
Yeah.
I don't mind because Seattle seems to be on a mission to destroy the fuck out of the world. Do you get the feeling Seattle's on a fuck you mission?
For what, though?
To repeat, silence every criticism of Russell Wilson, silence everyone who said they got there by cheating. They are not just hurting people this preseason, they are killing them. This looks like, an old college coach who's dealing with the cupcake teams.
Well, I don't know if that's the reason they're doing what they're doing now. Because the preseason to do it in the preseason doesn't really mean anything. But
and Carroll is 13-6 in the preseason, 3-1 in the final week. Seattle's backups are better than
they're very
Oakland
deep.
Starters plus waiver wire pickups,
and they're starting a rookie. Derek Carr's going to play most of the game.
Your guy Christine Michael.
Oh, he might not play.
Who cares if it's Turbin?
Yeah, no, I know. I don't.
Is
I'm
that
just saying.
So bad? Like, we're just named off their top 2 backup running backs, and who does Oakland have?
Well, you got McFadden and MJD.
Who will not see a snap.
No. And then after that, I couldn't tell you. They had Corey Sheets, but he tore his Achilles. So he's done for the year.
Kick return, yeah.
Oh, he got killed on that.
Oh, I know. I just before we started the podcast, I watched that play, like on the live replay. The replay of the game, and it was brutal. So, okay, do you want to go that instead?
Yeah. Go Seattle -5.
And Denver -2.5.
Yeah, so we got
just
Seattle.
To fly in the face of what we said earlier, we're not taking points this time. Yeah.
No. But I'm not going to say we're doing it just on principle every time, but when the value's there, I would. If San Francisco had showed me anything in the preseason, I would take the points and the +100 and bet it on that.
Well,
but
and
I
you've
don't
been
even know
against
what they're
San
going to be.
Francisco in this preseason. You're just going, are they playing possum? Was something you said to me off air one time.
I don't know if they're good.
Do they refuse to show?
I have no idea what they're doing.
Suck? Yeah.
I honestly don't.
Well, let's book those 2 bets.
Okay, so we got Seattle -5 at Oakland. $5 pays $9.54, and the Denver game's going to pay the same. We got Denver -2.5 at Dallas. $5 pays $9.54. So we are taking road teams, though.
This doesn't matter. Like, I kind of glanced at the stats on this, and week 4, seriously, we might as well be playing roulette.
Okay, we got to win both of these games, eh? Or we got to put money in. Because we'll be short like $1.
Yeah, but
Just
we were like Ted
vague.
Williams. We could have sat down the last game to keep that 400 hitting average up. But we refused.
Wow.
Because we're just that strong.
Well, can you tell me how you figured that number out? Was it fantasy football taught you that?
It wasn't no fucking baseball card.
Well, you just referenced Ted Williams at a 400 batting average.
Well, yeah.
Just
Actually,
that's a
batting
callback.
averages was
That's a callback.
part of the reason I learned how to do that math. All right, buddy.
All right. So, yeah, we have Denver -2.5 at Dallas, $9.54, and Seattle -5 at Oakland, $5 pays $9.54. And hopefully we can finish 7-1 and not have to put any money in. But, wow, yeah, we're going to be like 30 cents short. Does that count? That doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count.
No, we get.
We don't round up.
Come on, it's the same. Fuck off. We're the VIG. It's the VIG.
Hey, the VIG's part of it. That's what makes this game so challenging.
CA, I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon, and that was Offensive Lines.
Math is for pussies.
Generous fucking gambler.